وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد Hadith 104 from Riyadh al-Salihin عن أنس رضي الله عنه عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال يتبع الميت ثلاثة أهله وماله وعمله فيرجع اثنان ويبقى واحد يرجع أهله وماله ويبقى عمله متفق عليه. Hadith mentioned by both Imam al-Bukhari and Imam Muslim on the authority of our master Anas ibn Malik radiyallahu anhu warda, who reports from the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he said, three things follow the janazah of the mayyit. When the mayyit goes to the grave, meaning from, let's say, the masjid, and the janazah goes to the grave, that يَتْبَعُ الْمَيِّتَ ثَلَاثَةٌ, three things: أهله, his family, وَمَالُهُ, his wealth, وَعَمَلُهُ, and his actions, his deeds. فَيَرْجِعُ اثْنَانِ, two of them come back, وَيَبْقَى وَاحِد, and one remains. يَرْجِعُ أَهْلُهُ وَمَالُهُ, his family and wealth return home, وَيَبْقَى عَمَلُهُ, and his deeds are all that remain. This hadith is well and truly, Allah forgive me, Allah forgive us all, is well and truly it's the peak of how fickle ultimately the dunya is. Ultimately it doesn't really matter whether I achieved this much in terms of my wealth or fame or hubbul jah wal manzila or political authority and power. Ultimately, in 100 years, I won't be here. That's for sure. In 100 years, I won't be here. We could put that mark, right? Doesn't matter who's here, old or young. In 100 years, we won't be here. And we'd be lucky if even there's someone to remember your name. Lucky. Really lucky. Maybe, your grandchildren will sit there and say, oh, Sare Baba honesan ji. Ta unna aisa ki koti banai deti. Maybe. If you're lucky, no one's going to remember and no one's going to care. And it's not going to be that important. All of your problems, all of your worries and your anxieties and all of that desire to achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve of dunya in 100 years is going to mean nothing to nobody. And that's the truth of the dunya. Except for amal, good deeds. Why? Because good deeds are normally done outside of one's own capacity. Meaning not outside of one's capacity, outside of one's own experience. For example, what did the Prophet say? إِذَا مَاتَ الْإِنسَانِ إِنْقَطَعَ عَنْهُ إِلَّا ثَلَاثًا. When anybody dies, everything is cut off from that person except for three. They will benefit from three things. Three a'mal. Three acts. One, إِلَّا مِنْ صَدَقَةٍ جَارِيَةٍ. Firstly is a sadaqah jariyah, a continuous charity. What's an example of a continuous charity? Just making sure you're awake. What's an example? Go on, give me one. What do you think? Angie? Planting a tree. How about a well? A well for poor people. Or madrasa or masjid. Look, the founding fathers of Aylesbury Masjid, some of them, are they alive? Some of them are not alive. Some of them are, some of them are not alive. Yeah, I'm sat here right now, you're sat right there. We all, by Allah's fazl and His kindness, all just prayed Salatul Isha in Jamaat. Did we not? Sariya padhiya namaz ba Jamaat. The Jinnah Masjid banaiya, they're not going to get swab for that. Of course they are. They're going to get swab for it. Think about it. Think about that. Those people. And the second was, مِنْ عِلْمٍ يُنْتَفَعُ بِهِ, knowledge by which you benefit. If I teach you something good about deen, you hear it from me. And then you go and pass it on. and then somebody else passes it on. Everybody in that chain gets the reward. And ultimately the Prophet gets the most reward because everything began with him, alayhi salatu wasalam. Like the ajr of the Prophet is always increasing because everything comes back to him. So I will get reward, my ustaz is going to get reward, his ustaz is going to get reward. We will benefit. Ilm yuntafa'u bihi. Of course, ilm has to be nafi'. The ilm must be beneficial. There's a difference between somebody teaching you how to make wudu and somebody teaching you how to buy cryptocurrency. Yeah? Not saying that necessarily the latter is wrong per se, depending on your opinion on cryptocurrency, of course, and that's a whole different ball game, right? But in any case, I'm not saying something has to be bad, but there's a difference, isn't there? Ultimately, nafa, what we call nafa bakhsh in our language, ilm, is an ilm that's going to help you to get closer to Allah. It's going to help you to get closer to Allah. If there's ilm that doesn't get you closer to Allah, that ilm is wasted. So when somebody says, oh, that was amazing what you did. You did this, or you taught this, or you did, etc. What's the response that we give to that? If it's accepted, then waqi'i. Then yes, I made it. If it's not accepted, then it was all a waste of time anyway. It's all a waste of time. Even my building a massive madrasa, producing thousands of tullab al-ilm, mastering all of this. If my niyyah was not Allah, they may benefit. What am I going to benefit from it? Nothing. This is why Rasulullah used to make a dua. Kana yad'u. Hazrat Abu Huraira, he says, ye huzur ki aadat mubarak thi, कि आप ऐसा दुआ फरमाते थे अल्लाहुम्मा इन्नी अऊज़ु बिका मिन इल्म ला यनफ़अु और ला युनफ़अ. Allah Ta'ala, I ask your panah, your protection from an ilm that does not benefit me or anybody else. وَمِن دُعَاءٍ لَا يُسْمَعْ, and from a dua that is not heard. وَمِن نَفْسٍ لَا تَشْبَعْ, and from a nafs that is not satiated. A nafs that is not satiated. I got to this mark in my life. There's somebody I know was talking to their own parents. Their parents were very poor. Ghurbat. They came to this country, they worked hard, they got into business. Allah Ta'ala blessed them. Very wealthy. But there was a time where they've got lots of properties, shops. But they couldn't leave work. They were in that race, still 16 hours a day, no time for anything, trying to get that next property. Take care, rather than having, no, just the next one, building the empire. And the children said, this is a true story by the way, the children said to the father that when you were in your mid-20s and you were just coming over from Pakistan, did you ever think, they used to say, pyaz na roti khane, so that type of ghurbat, कि जो उस गुरबत विच सो तुसो कदे तसव्वुर कीता सी कि तुसने इतने मकान होसन, कि तुसना बिजनेस होसी, कि तुसने इतने पैसे होसन, कदे तसव्वुर कीता सी? No. He goes, agar at that time somebody said to you that when you're 40, 45, you're going to have this, would you ever think that you would work another day in your life? He said, no, of course. If somebody told me, Jadu, asa ki bas dali labni si, right? Us wela agar kuch me bana ki mari itni jaidaad hosi, main badshah wa, main koi kam nahi karna, I've earned everything I need to earn. He goes, but look, right now, you're at that age and you won't let go. You won't let go. You've got enough. You don't need any more. You've achieved what you want to achieve. And I'm not talking about like a little bit of wealth. You've got generational wealth. Like your kids are not going to go poor. Your kids will never have to look for mortgages. Your kids will never be in debt. You've got generational wealth. I'm not just talking about somebody that they still need to get their children married off and they need to... No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people that have got money on another level. Still working. Love the chase. They love the chase. The chase is it's more sweet than actually getting the end result. That's going to happen hatta zurtumul maqabir. Alhaakumut takathur. Takathur. What is takathur? Takathur just doesn't mean takathur is to do talab of more, yeah? Takathur in Arabic. Takathur with an alif. This is a different ba mufa'ala in Arabic. This is where you vie for more. You vie for more. It's not enough that I got money. It's like he's got more money. He's got more money. Look, if you look at like wealthy people, Allah Ta'ala give everybody wealth that's halal and wasi'. Ameen. You know, the Prophet used to make dua for wasi' rizq. It's originally. In fact, the hadith, he used to ask for a big house. Did you know that? Baytul, who doesn't? Insan is not, insan, of course, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Talab of rizq, which is halal. No problem. Look at Uthman Ghani. Of course, especially with the intention of helping Muslims. It's an amazing thing. But there's difference between takathur. It's like these guys, they get to a level of wealth and they think, okay, now I got to the wealth that I can fly on holiday. Everybody goes see holiday. Pasas aaya, now I can go on holiday. Kade Morocco gaya, kade udhar gaya. Hanji, kade Turkey phir aaya. On holiday. Then he goes, you know what, economic, we sat next to somebody, sometimes they put me into the DC, and I'm in between two people, I don't like it. Gosh, I was on first class. Yeah? And then you get first class. Subhanallah. Now you're on first class. But it's not first class like Emirates, is it? No, Ittihad, one of the big ones. It was British Airways. The only difference is they give you a sandwich. Yeah? I want to get to I only fly certain airlines. Certain airlines. First class. Then it gets to a point thinking, no, I don't really want to be waiting in line in the queue, even if it is first class. Even if I am in the nice the lounge. No, I want to just drive straight to the plane. So I can charter a plane, private jet. That's better. Don't want to be waiting around. My time is important. Maybe it is for some people. We don't talk about corporations here, yeah? Until it gets to a point where, I don't want to just charter it. It doesn't make sense. I can just own my own because I want my name on it, And then it's not just any jet. It has to be like a Boeing, one of those Boeing planes, the big ones with bedrooms inside of it. They can't just be, it has to have my name on it. Look, when does it stop? You got one, that's the big one for the long haul flights. Let me get a small one. The one that just lands anywhere, like in a field. So come do tara to own it. And then I got a yacht now, subhanAllah, I got a yacht. But it's not the best yacht though, it's not his yacht. It's not his yacht. It's like you got the yacht, you got the plane, you got to what? To what extent? Ultimately, to what extent? Somebody else is going to be riding in the car that you love so much. They're going to be living in the house that you love so much. That's the truth. And your family will weep and they'll cry for a little bit, and then they'll move on. They will just move on with life. Because insan was created to adapt. Insan is not stagnant. We're 70% water. Water moves. Insan moves. That same family will grow up and they will move on with life. They'll remember you, they'll love you, they might pray for you, depending on what you taught them. And that's the third one. First one was sadaqah jariyah. Second was ilm yuntafa'u bihi. And the third was min waladin salih yad'u lahu. A pious awlad that makes dua for you. Pious awlad that makes dua for you. And raise their hands. Rabbi ja'alni muqim as-salati wa min dhurriyati. Rabbana taqabbal minna. Rabbana taqabbal minna ad-du'a. Wali walidayya. Walil mu'minina yawma yaqum al-hisab. That dua. Rabbi habli. Allahumma arhamhuma kama rabbayani saghira. All of these du'as are very powerful for walidain. Very powerful for walidain, for one's parents. That's all you've got. Then you're going to be thinking, Yaar, I've spent so much money on English, maths and science tuition for my children. And yet, when it came to their religious education, chiki chikita mein dete, chiki chikita. Chiki chikita. Roi roita. Why? Because it was Zaya. That's how we looked at it. We looked at it as Zaya, isn't it? Formality, tick a box. Tick a box. But the real education, it's the science, and because now you're going to be a lawyer, a doctor, engineer, you're going to get a job. Mara putar bada bansi. Bada bansi. It's true, isn't it? Think about this, yeah? And this, up, smet, sare ki baita. Ikke sari qawm hai, sare lo, zuban vi ikke, we're all the same people, yeah? So this is first, I'm saying, look at our children, if you think about our generation, put myself, I'm a dad as well, mashallah, tabarakallah, right? How many of our children look and they think, I want to be an alim of deen? Really? That they see that as a prospect. Like, I know ulama, they're looking at the children and nana putra. His pasanachi. His pasanachi. Why? Because even their niyat was not good. That's why. Don't go this. Why? Because you can't progress, you can't do better, you're stuck, etc. This is why I don't, I always condone people that try to look into entrepreneurship, etc. Why? Because there are certain negatives. There are. Our community sometimes can be a little bit like that. Not maybe Aylesbury, but there are communities that they don't look nicely upon people. How do you encourage them become an alim of deen? In one of the brothers I was listening to a podcast, he was talking about Pakistan. It's an elite school, a school in Pakistan. And what they did was, they have an old building and a new building. In the old building, they have Urdu and Islamiyat. They do OGCSE, Islamiyat. And in the new building, they have science, maths, and English. What are you telling the kid? That the old facilities is for Islamiyat and Urdu, your own Zuban, and the new building is for English, science, and maths. Look what it puts into your mind. Puts into your mind. Look, in Pakistan now, the curriculum, they took Islamiyat out of the official curriculum. They took out Iqbaliyat as well. Musawwir Pakistan, Iqbal, they took him out the curriculum. Why? Because he was telling the people to stand up for themselves, to be upright. Pir par sabak sadakat ka, adalat ka. What was the third one? And then he said, Liya jayega tujhse kam, dunya ki imamat ka. That's what he was teaching Muslims, wasn't he? Oh, can't have that. खुद ही को कर बुलंद इतना कि हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे से खुद पूछे बता तेरी रजा क्या है. We don't want that. We don't want that. So the only thing that will follow us to the grave is going to be our amal. How did we live in this dunya? जितना सा कमाया ठीक है, जो रिज़्क़ कुछ लेके लब सी, लेकिन ओ पूछना उसी. Alhaakumut takathur. And then look at this, yeah? Let me end on this bit. This is really interesting. Look at the Quran. This is from the secrets of the Quran. Alhaakumut takathur hatta zurtumul maqabir. You're going to keep vying for more until you reach the graves. As they say in our language, tedani parna. Yeah? Your stomach will never get full. Eyes are always going to be hungrier. Hatta zurtumul kalla sawfa ta'lamun thumma kalla sawfa ta'lamun. At the end, what does Allah say? ثُمَّ لَتُسْأَلُنَّ يَوْمَئِذٍ عَنْ النَّعِيمِ. Yes? On that day, puri dunya guzri ge takathur vich. Then you die. Allah says, then you will know. Then you will surely know. Haqa'iq will all open up about this dunya. Everything is going to happen. ثُمَّ لَتُسْأَلُنَّ. And then you are definitely going to be asked about something. What? يَوْمَئِذٍ, on that day. عَنِ النَّعِيمِ, about النَّعِيمِ. Us din jari pucho sina sab to daddy. It's going to be the puch, it's going to be the questioning about النَّعِيمِ. النَّعِيمِ. You know what Na'im means? Na'im means the greatest gift. The greatest gift. An-Na'im, ni'mah. Say ni'mah. An-Na'im is the greatest gift. What's the next surah? What's the next verse? Remember, all the surahs are connected, yeah? What's the next verse? After Surah Takathur. Tako. Wal Asr. Yeah? Wal Asr. What does Wal Asr mean? Allah Ta'ala takes a qasam by time. Wal Asr. Allah swears by time. Innal insana lafi khusr. Beshak insan, no doubt insan is in loss. Illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihati wa tawasaw bil haqq wa tawasaw bis sabr. Except those that have iman, the Muslims, and they have good deeds, and they call people to the truth and patience. So what is a na'im? Allah Ta'ala left that in that surah, and what does He say the very next verse? Wal asr. Allah swears by time. The greatest gift in this dunya is time. Time. Once it's gone, there's no coming back. This moment is gone, I can never get it back. Ever. I can get it. So at-takathur is a waste of time, Allah Ta'ala is telling you. Talib rizq halal, that's not takathur, by the way. I'll say that again. That is not takathur. Rasulullah ﷺ in fact said, the afzal, most superior fard after the 5 prayers is amal, is halal income. That you yourself eat and you feed your family. The Prophet said sadaqah, we did the hadith when we did the arba'in. Sadaqah is to take food and put it into your wife's mouth. What's that telling you? First sadaqah is at home. So this is not talking about talab rizq halal, no. We're not monks. La rahbaniya fil Islam. The Prophet said, there's no rahbaniya. We're not monks. You know monks? We're not monks. Practical religion, pragmatic religion. But we're not people of takathur either. We're not people of takathur. Because the greatest waste of time. Look, I'll give you an example, yeah? I'll say one thing to you. One of the greatest things that somebody could have done, like somebody could do in their lifetime, is to seek knowledge. Yet that is the thing that people do the least of. It's true, isn't it? The least occupation of your mind is on that, in understanding something of your religion, learning something of your religion, reading something about your religion. You'll read the Financial Times, you'll read the Telegraph, hopefully you won't read the Daily Mail, right? But you'll read all the important, yes, you should be. The Jang, of course, don't give me, we read the Jang newspaper, yeah, don't worry, I'm in there too, right? Of course, GOV aisa tak nahi, BBC tak nahi, it's zaruri cheez hai. But for 3 hours, so, by the way, I'm not saying this is like, I'm with you. We're in the same, I always say, in the same boat in this dunya. Same boat. Takke kha lage in this dunya. No doubt. The greatest gift is na'im. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I know people from my own teachers that in their calendar it's marked to the 5 minutes. To the 5 minutes the timetable is marked. 5-minute calendar. Can you believe that? And they stick to it. They stick to it. And I watched them. I lived with them. I traveled with them. And they stick to it. I've never seen certain things like that in my life. They stick to it. They take their time so seriously. Imam Shafi'i, his student famously said, Huzur, abdi umar ki hai. Imam Shafi'i the shagird. He said, Kam umruk, how old are you? Imam Shafi'i said to him, Aqbil ala sha'nik. Mind your own business. Because Imam Shafi'i considered this to be laghv, futile talk, waste of time. Can you believe that? He considered that to be waste of time. And so the student, he said that when I became a sheikh, my student asked me once, Huzur abdi umar ki hai? And I said to him, Aqbil ala sha'nik. And then I told him that Ustad Sahib said that to me. And then now we have this at the Tasalsul, where your sheikh would say to you, Aqbil ala sha'nik. And you have a sanad all the way to Imam Shafi'i. But what was the sanad for? What's the mafhum of the riwayah? The mafhum, the meaning of this whole report is how seriously they took time. They took time very seriously. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us. I'll tell you one last story actually just before. Imam Nawawi rahmatullah alayh, you know, he passed away very young. He passed away when he was in his early 40s, yeah? But he left a library of books. And he's considered to be the second Imam Shafi'i. In fact, he is the Shafi'i school. His qawl is the qawl mu'tamad, mostly. Except in like certain books like his Rawda, like in his Majmu'ah, if there's a fatwa, that is the mu'tamad qawl. Nawawi is that important. This is his book as well. Riyadh al-Salihin is Imam Nawawi's book. Imam Nawawi rahmatullah alayh took so much care in his time that Allah Ta'ala gave it to him as a karamat. So his khadim, the khadim, आप इमाम नववी जो है ना आपने शादी कभी नहीं की, आप वैसे बड़े बड़े उलमा को देखें ना तो उनमें से एक अक्सरियत का तादाद, they were from the ulama al-uzzab, which means they never got married. Yeah, interesting, isn't it? So many of them, they didn't get married. Anyway, in fact, the Shafi'i school is mustahab not to. unless there's a need. It's recommended for people to occupy themselves in dhikr and in ilm and ta'aleem, that if they were going to have a great life in serving deen, it would be better for them. But if not, then they should get married. They have their own way of looking at it, right? Ala kullin, and now he says, Khadim, he has this tasawwur. So he says to Imam Shafi, so Imam Nawawi, and he says, Huzur, I don't want to ever leave your side. Ki main aapni khidmat aakhir tak. I just want 1 year. Why? He goes, I want to go and go to the Haramain. I want to go to Makkah, Medina. And you know, the safar is long, all of that. Bas ek wari miki jaan diyo, Haramain Sharif and waqt mein aapne kol aakhir tak in your khidmat. Imam Nawawi says, Acha. He says, okay. He says, close your eyes. Closes his eyes. Open your eyes. He opens his eyes. They're at the haram. And he says, Jaldi kar, I have a lot of work to do. So sometimes they took so much care in their time because he moved to an island. And then at the end of his life, Imam Nawawi was so poor, rahmatullah alayh, that he left us a library of books. Just his majmu', which is unfinished, you can get it in 20-something volumes. Like Imam Nawawi, right? All of that in such a young age. Imam Nawawi was so poor, he didn't own a single book. Every book that he had borrowed. And then before he passed away, rahimahullah ta'ala, he gave all the books back that he had borrowed. He moved back to his Gira, his village, with not a single book, and that's where he passed away, the great Imam Nawawi, with not owning a single book, rahmatullah alayh. That kind of poverty. But look at his timekeeping. His time. Allah ta'ala even blessed it to him in terms of a miracle, in terms of a karamah. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy upon our ulama. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to honor their legacies. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to utilize our time in the best way, in the way that brings us khair in this dunya and khair in the akhirah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from a wasting of time that is not pleasing to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us for all of our mistakes. Ya Allah, Ya Kareem, Ya Rabbana, Ya Rabb as-samawati wal ard. Forgive us and guide our hearts, keep firm our feet, protect us from going astray. Give us tawfiq to increase in our a'mal, increase us, Ya Rabbil Alameen, in our good deeds. Give us himmah, tawfiq as we are preparing for Ramadan. Ya Allah, Ya Rabbil Alameen, allow us to prepare for Ramadan in the best way, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Ya Allah, give us a daily litany of Al-Quran Al-Kareem, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Ya Allah, open up your book for us, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Allow us to drink from the ocean of the Quran, Ya Rabbil Alameen, Ya Arhamar Rahimin, as we prepare for the month of the Quran, Ya Rabbil Alameen, Ya Rabbil Alameen, Ya Arhamar Rahimin, Ya Akram Al-Akrameen. Wa sallallahu wa sallim wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Ameen bi rahmatika, Ya Arhamar Rahimin.